115. 115. Bryce Harper is hitting 115 since the All-Star break. Just about everybody hit yesterday. I know Christopher Sanchez wasn't on top of his game. Second inning grand slam, not great. Hanging sliders, flat cutters that don't cut, not his best stuff yesterday. But just about everybody did what they were supposed to do, except for Bryce Harper, and I'm really not used to that. And I'm really not used, especially in the city of brotherly love, I'm not used to the phrase cowboy up, because usually what that means is everywhere else, everywhere else it means, time to toughen up, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, right? And go out there and you play hard, and you work a little harder. You're busted out of the box, unlike Bryce Harper. And you try to go out there and you do your absolute best no matter what, and you carry on no matter what. That's what it means when you say cowboy up, toughen up, buttercup, that kind of thing, right? But in Philadelphia, that just means choke in the playoffs. So I'd rather them not cowboy up, and I'd rather them just, go out there and play better baseball, something that we saw them do at a incredible clip at the beginning of the season and haven't done so much now. But Bryce Harper, after the game, talked about cowboying up, talked about how this is still a great baseball team, talked about the unfortunate fall that they're in right now. And it kind of does put it in perspective, but it doesn't make me feel better, if that makes any sense. And I was trying to wrap my head around the best way to explain that over the last, 12 hours or so. And I was thinking to myself, Jose, how do you go from feeling terrible about this team? For instance, since the All-Star break, they've just been awful. They had just got swept by the New York Yankees. How do you feel about this team right now? And then I was thinking, hold on a second. This is the first time all year they've lost 4 in a row, which is kind of a brag when you think about it. But then you really dissect what's been going on with this Phillies team, especially since the All-Star break. And yes, even a little bit before, losing 2 or 3 to the A's of all teams. And even though they haven't lost 4 games all season before recently, it only reminds you of how far they have fallen since May 24th. And as we were talking about, and as we've talked about many times, what did they know? Under 500? 1 game under 500 since May 24th? Or are they even 500? They're even 500 since May 24th. Either way, that is a very large sample size. Huge sample. It's most of the season. It's what it is when you really think about it. And I can't for the life of me figure out, other than baseball's weird, why the hell this is happening. And I mean, look, while we were going through the incredible start to the year, and Todd Zalecki, you'll hear the question from him, asked Bryce Harper about it yesterday, saying, hey, you were winning at, plus 700, 700 winning percentage. Everyone, did you think you were going to keep that up? What's it like to be where you're at right now? How did that happen? How do you keep confidence and all that? If you're the Phillies right now, I don't know how you wrap your head around it other than, all right, we got a day off today. We have a long 10-game road trip coming up. They're going to face Seattle. They're going to face the Dodgers again. Oh, by the way, it's 2 first-place teams right there. And then one of the hotter teams in baseball, if not hottest, the Arizona Diamondbacks, who all of a sudden have found out how to play baseball again. So this isn't going to get easy. This isn't like a lackadaisical 10-game road trip. This is going to be a tough road trip. It's not just a getaway road trip. It's like, oh, you got to do it that West Coast road trip, that long West Coast road trip. You got to deal with that. Nope, that's not it. It's you got to battle. And I know, and I told a story yesterday about figuring it out on the road. Ricky Batalico and his manager, a case of beer on the couple cases of beer on the bus. Figure it out, guys, that kind of thing. In the minors. Okay. Yeah, the Phillies could certainly, I guess, use that time away. When push came to shove, it was the last question of the post-game media session yesterday with Bryce Harper, and they asked him, is it better to just get right back on the horse when you're struggling and try to get after it? Or is it good to kind of have an off day? And he said, I'm excited for the off day. I'll say this. At the end of the game, it certainly looked like he was ready for his off day. Swinging at the first pitch, grounded into a double play, one out, or excuse me, down one run. It was not great. It's all been a struggle for the Philadelphia Phillies as of late, as you guys know. It's been a struggle for Bryce Harper, and the thing that really stuck out to me yesterday was that of all the guys to perform, like Weston Wilson hit a home run yesterday. You face Will Warren in the middle game of this series. You can't hit Will Warren. You go up yesterday against Cortez. You can't hit Cortez. Other Phillies hit Cortez. Weston Wilson was one of them. Bryson Stott came in as a sub midway through the game. He got 2 hits. Nick Castellanos had 2 hits. Alec Boehm had 2 hits and a triple. He had a double and a triple yesterday. You know who didn't help much? Kyle Schwarber was working walks again. And he's been working walks at an amazing rate since the All-Star break. But the only guy that really could have contributed, the only guy that really hasn't contributed since the All-Star game is Bryce Harper. The one time he did contribute, you blew the lead against the Minnesota Twins. What the hell's going on here? I guess yesterday, at least they didn't blow a 3-run lead. And yes, second inning grand slams again. Christopher Sanchez was not great. Bryce Harper wasn't the only one struggling, although in the lineup, when you talk about some of the bigger named players, Bryce Harper was really the only one that struggled yesterday. Yeah, Trey Turner had the day off. So Trey Turner gets 2 days off. So I guess Trey Turner's going to get right back to a damn near MVP run when he comes back in the Seattle series. Good Lord. Here's where we're at right now with the Phillies. We've been talking about this. We're more than midway down this. We're down the bottom, okay? After this, so they got the 3-game series with the Seattle Mariners, 3-game series with the Dodgers, and then after that, they got the 4-game series in Arizona with the Diamondbacks. We'll get to that a little bit later. We'll recap the game from yesterday, go through some of the highs and lows, mostly lows. And then we'll also get into this fine conversation. Jalen Hurts, ladies and gentlemen, comes in at number 15. Now, I had been watching this list. I had been paying and have been paying attention to the NFL's top 100 list, as I do every year. I had not seen Jalen Hurts, and I got very nervous not seeing Jalen Hurts for a while. He comes in at number 15. Last year, he was at number 3, as you see at the bottom of that list. Jalen Hurts' participation in the end-of-the-year collapse for your Philadelphia Phillies certainly has something to do with him dropping down from number 3 last year to number 15 this year. That's not great. Excuse me. Jalen Hurts' turnovers last year certainly had something to do with him dropping down from number 3 to number 15. Decision-making in general, situational football in general, and the Eagles' overall collapse bumps him down from 3 to 15. I feel like that's just about right. Josh Allen, who was also an interception machine before they changed offensive coordinators in Buffalo, went from 8 to 12 on this list. Now, let me just reintroduce Jalen Hurts, number 15. You know where he fell in between? Well, Josh Allen at 12 and Dak Prescott at 16. So once again, Jalen 15, Dak Prescott 16. 16 is worse than 15. 15 is in front of 16. Dak Prescott not as good as Jalen Hurts. And that's good. At least we still understand that. Dak, though, did have a hell of a jump. Goes from 56 last year to 16 on the list of top 100 players of 2024 entering the season. What can Jalen Hurts do to get back into that top 3? Well, that is, I think, a very obvious answer. It's get back to that 2022 MVP runner-up status that he had in the year of 2022 that helped carry this Eagles team into a Super Bowl appearance where they happened to lose to the guy that will most likely be number 1 on this list in Patrick Mahomes. That's what he could do. But how does he go about that? I know it's early, but let's get all the obvious stuff out of the way. It's early in camp. Everything is positive. I've talked about the parallel negative universe that could be happening right now with a new offensive coordinator, a third offensive coordinator in as many years. On the defensive side of things, a third defensive coordinator in as many years. We can talk about all of that. Things could be going south really quick with all this being, oh, well, everything's new, so everyone's, especially when a quarterback is talking about it's 95% different. Everything could go to hell in a handbag with that. But it's not. It's going the positive direction. And the idea of Jalen Hurts expanding his game and incorporating the running backs into all this, whether it's Will Shipley, Kenny Gainwell, or it's Saquon Barkley, using those guys in the passing game a hell of a lot more often than we have seen from Jalen Hurts in this Eagles offense in years past will help Jalen Hurts out tremendously. Him improving, realizing there's aspects of his game that he absolutely needs to work on, will help this team tremendously, as opposed to a quarterback that's just stuck in his ways saying, that's not what I do. This is what I do. We're going to win like this. No, if you can expand your horizons and improve, then that's going to help the rest of the team out dramatically. It all comes down to putting the ball in the hands of your playmakers, whether that playmaker is a running back or a wide receiver or a tight end. If Jalen Hurts is using every single one of these tools that are at his disposal, whether that be A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, or Dallas Goedert, when healthy, Saquon Barkley, whoever, or it's the mind of Kellen Moore crafting this offense behind the scenes and actually using motion offense. Motion, they're using motion in this offense. What? Actually doing that. Well, then that'll help tremendously. Jalen Hurts' decision-making will get him up there. And quite frankly, a less predictable offense than what we saw last year. And I'll never forget when my man Derek Gunn put it out there, talking to the players in the locker room, that were talking about how predictable this offense had become. Yeah, it's kind of hard to play quarterback when they know where you're going. And some of that's on Jalen Hurts, like you can't telegraph a pass, can't stare down your receiver, the obvious stuff. You can't react the same way every single time when they're showing blitz and then peel back. The perfect example of that is the game-sealing interception against the Jets, their first loss of the season. They were telling the Jets players, hey, get up to the line of scrimmage, show blitz, and then back off. They're going to put it right in your chest. And that's exactly what happened. More creative playbook, more creative play caller, more creative game plan in general. That's going to help Jalen Hurts tremendously. But ultimately, what's going to help Jalen Hurts the most? Who's going to help Jalen Hurts the most? It's Jalen Hurts. Because decision-making and what goes on between his ears is going to greatly impact how this team plays. And I know that might sound obvious, but the decision-making last year was horrendous, especially at the end of the season. You can scratch and claw in the fourth quarter, and you can fight your way back into games, and, oh, wow, they came back again, or they took control late, or something like that. The thing that I take away from last year that will probably echo in eternity for me for as long as I'm talking about sports, or at least rooting for sports, oh, my goodness gracious, what will echo in eternity for me, the ripples for me from last year will be that finding a way to win can be a nice, cute, adorable storyline for a couple of weeks. It can't be the season. Because that means you're just a team that scratches and claws every week. And, if you're an underdog team, a true underdog team, not a team that people are looking at to win the NFC East or possibly go back to the Super Bowl or maybe even have a quarterback that is going to be in the MVP race again, you're not an underdog. The Eagles didn't put together this offensive juggernaut on paper to be, nobody gave us a chance. Nobody said we could do it. No, if I hear that at the end of the year, please. First off, I want to be in a position where we do hear that because that means they went very far, right? But when you look at this team as it's assembled, they're not going to be an underdog. If they go out there and they just execute, they go out there, they protect the football, they are going to be a vastly improved team. And what we saw last year was a team that just scratched and clawed every single week to try to win a game. So for me, what will ripple in eternity is whether or not this team or any team that goes out there, scratches and claws every week to barely pull out a victory and have a piss poor point differential, that's not the team that you should be looking at going like, well, they always find a way to win, so I guess we'll do the same thing in the playoffs. No, that means they are this close to being terrible. Whether you're 10-1, 10-3, whatever the case might be, if you're just barely getting by, that is showing you're not that much better than the rest of the league. And the minute you face those upper echelon teams, that's where things start to go south real quick. Real quick. And I know it's really popular for the Phillies to be compared to the Eagles right now, and the Eagles collapsed at the end of last year, and the Phillies collapse right now. First off, no. If you want to talk about being like the best team and then not, and be like one of the worst teams, then okay, I get what you're saying right now. That could happen in the ebbs and flows of a baseball season where you're playing 162 games. But if the Phillies were doing this in September, then I'd have a different story. And by the way, I did go back. I know I mentioned the 08 team, the World Series champion team last year with the Phillies, but I don't think I mentioned in 2022, when the Phillies made it to the World Series, their September was awful. They were 11-14 in September. They were talking about a team scraping by. They were absolutely scraping by. And then they just won barely enough games in the final 2 weeks of the season, and they clinched the playoff spot. Pretty amazing how that happens. This Eagles team had a huge collapse at the end of last season when it mattered most. And they couldn't scrounge up a win against the Cardinals. They couldn't scrounge up a win at the end of the season against the Giants. Even controlling things in the first half to at least give yourself a shot to see what the Cowboys were doing. Couldn't compete. Couldn't be on the same field as the 49ers. Couldn't beat the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, talk about one decision. Could have changed the whole outcome of that game. Would have changed the whole outcome of that game. So the Eagles play smarter football. Jalen Hurts plays smarter football. And we're talking about Jalen Hurts. Forget about that 15 right there next to his name. We're back talking about the number 3 when it comes to what Jalen Hurts can do for this Philadelphia Eagles offense. And what he could do overall in the NFL to have a tremendous impact on how this Eagles team will win or lose games. We'll get more into that a little bit later. We'll also get into, I mentioned this yesterday. I hated myself for it because it was the second day in a row I didn't deliver on a tease. I said it in the open, so I'm just going to finish the story right now. Paul George was addressing the media. He was doing his podcast. And I know I said this already, but in case you haven't heard it yet, he is great. He's a really good host. Like, I'd never listened to his podcast before the rumors about the Sixers and all that stuff. So I listened to one of them, very good. And then I listened to the one with Tyrese Maxey. And they're talking about playing together, obviously, what went into the decision for Paul George to get here a little bit, and what Paul George is going to do differently as a 34-year-old going into this NBA season. And he said he's changing his diet. He is no carbs, no sugar. No carbs, no sugar for playoff P. That's his approach to help him stay playing at an extremely high level for the upcoming NBA season. No carbs, no sugar. About 2 days after that, he was with some friends. After he announced to his friend group that he was no carbs, no sugar, he went and bought bubble gum. And his friends on the podcast were like breaking his balls about it. They were like, hey, you know there's sugar in that, right? And they like spit it out. He's like, oh, damn, man, this is hard. This is going to be tough. But he said that's the way, as a 34-year-old, he said, there's somebody that is out there that is 5 years younger than you, and they're doing a lot of the same things that you're doing on the court, but they're doing them better because their body is already in that shape. When you get to be in your mid-30s as a basketball player, he's like, you need to take every single chance, or you need to take advantage of every single opportunity to get that edge on the court. So you could be as close to that 25, 26, 27-year-old version of yourself. And he said, for me, I never really had to do anything when it came to diet. I just go out there and I play. He'd work hard in the offseason. He'd be in the best shape he could possibly be in, and he'd work on developing his game, and he'd do all of that off the court stuff, preseason stuff to get ready for the season. But as far as the diet, he never really paid much attention to it. But now he is. He's like, if I'm going to be 34, 35, 36, 37 during this contract, I want to make sure I'm playing at the best of my ability, playing with guys that I know, especially Tyrese Maxey, they're going to be on the upswing of their careers, still trying to get to what their ceiling truly is at the NBA level. And Paul George, like, if I'm going to keep up with that, no sugar, no carbs. And I thought, damn. Of the billion reasons as to why I'm probably not a professional athlete, those are probably in the top 5. Sugar and carbs, ooh, these are a few of my favorite things. But again, if you haven't listened to that podcast yet, it's definitely worth the listen. You're mowing the lawn later. You got a long drive ahead of you. You're done listening to this podcast. Paul George with Tyrese Maxey. And it does make you fall in love with Tyrese Maxey all over again because the guy's just awesome. If you didn't hear me say it the other day, they asked him what he bought with the new contract. And he was like, nothing. I'm just happy. And I'm like, God, I'm damn, man. You know how much people pay in therapy to get to that level of happiness, Tyrese Maxey? And they don't have $200+ million in the bank, or gonna have $200+ million in the bank. So yeah, worth a listen. But yeah, the tease I did not deliver on yesterday was Paul George. What did he do in the offseason? What is he doing this offseason that's different than any other offseason? He's changed his diet. No sugar, no carbs. So playoff P, bring it. Bring it, fella. Also, Sixers news, Keith Pompey's reporting Marcus Morris Sr. would welcome a return to Philadelphia. Huh. I didn't want to see him go the first time around. I like that edge. And Sixers could use another big man. Certainly have a hell of a lot of guards. That reminds me. Also, on that podcast, Playoff P, Paul George said he thinks Jared McCain is NBA ready to help the Sixers team in some role. So add another guard to the mix there, as you might assume for a mid first round pick. But yeah, I would welcome Marcus Morris Sr. back to the 76ers. All right. Let's get into your Philadelphia Phillies. I mentioned, first words out of my mouth during the show today, 115. Bryce Harper is hitting 115 since the All-Star break. He looks lost. And not that I'm a body language expert, but watching him yesterday, he looked like a guy who was empty. Like the tank was on E. Mentally, physically, he looks like he is just not there. And the way I look at a lot of times with athletes, it's like whether or not they're given 100%, right? And we could talk about, once again, in game 2 of this series, bottom of the 9th inning, bases loaded, 2 outs. He hits a ball that caroms off the first baseman, and he's just standing there in the batter's box, runs late. If he makes contact and starts running down the line immediately, you have a walk-off RBI infield single, which is just a little tiny break that the Phillies could need in order to turn the tides of this epic collapse. But instead, he just grounded out. Ended up being ground out to second in that instance. And maybe that was also what helped defeat him in that game. And then looked defeated in yesterday's game as he went 0 for 5 with 2 strikeouts. But if you're watching Bryce Harper play, does he look like the Bryce Harper that we are used to seeing? And I'm not just talking about, he didn't hit a home run, so now I'm reading it. That. No, I'm talking about a guy, his approach seems different at the plate. His a 3-2 fastball from Cortez at Harper's eyes, he swings at. I'm not used to seeing that from Bryce Harper. Seeing the just under a pitch that he normally crushes, like in the 6th inning, I think it was in yesterday's game. 6th inning, he leads off, hits a fly ball to right field, just under it, and just the swing, and then the deflated, I can't believe I missed that thing. Rob Thompson said the other day that he feels like Bryce Harper is ready to break out of it. We've talked about this before. I look at Bryce Harper, and earlier in the season, he had a slump. A couple of weeks, he was not doing. He wasn't 115, but he wasn't doing well. But he was barreling up some baseballs. He was hitting them right at guys. He was lining out to deep center field, stuff like that. Where it's like, okay, he's on the verge. He's on the verge of breaking out of something, and he broke out of it. And all of a sudden, he started this incredible MVP type of run. And like, all right, this is what we're used to. Let's go, Bryce. Let's keep this going. All right, fella. And then that has now hit a wall since the All-Star break. 1 for 30 for a 115 batting average since the break. Not great. 1 for 30 over his last, I think it's 7 games. But yeah, it's bad. So I'm watching him play, and he looks like a guy who doesn't have anything left in the tank. And maybe this off day maybe this will help everything and turn around. Maybe getting away from home will help everything and help him turn it around. But I'm watching him yesterday again. First at bat he had in the game in that first inning, 3-2 fastball against Cortez, flails away at it for strike 3. Comes back around later in the game in the fourth inning, gets another 3-2 fastball, strikes out. That one was at the knees. Usually this is one that I think he belts. He does not belt. He strikes out, swings through it. Going to that sixth inning again, flies out to right field. He was just under that pitch. It was a good swing, but he missed. Flat out, he just missed. He put it on the warning track in right field. The one that got me the most for Harper was bottom of the ninth inning. He comes back up. Kyle Schwarber led off with a single. Hayes missed barely 2 home runs yesterday. Just swung under 2 home runs yesterday. Harper steps up with Schwarber on first base, 1 out after Hayes flew out to left. He was batting second with Trey Turner out for the day off. Harper grounds into, swinging at the first pitch, 4-6-3, game-ending double play. It is a baseball team right now in free fall. Harper, after the game, was asked about how they stay focused after being up so high during the season and now at this low.
As you guys were on earlier in the season, you guys had like a 700 winning percentage. Is it almost surprising that you guys could even get in this, have a stretch go this long, or no?
I mean, obviously, like I said, you don't want to play the game this way. You don't want to play from behind or not win series because, you know, baseball is all about winning series and being right or being hot at the right time and doing things the right way. And I could say that we haven't really been playing good baseball on both sides of the ball. Guys on base, things like that. Pretty sloppy as well. So, I mean, I think we all know that as a team. Like I said, got to turn the page and turn it into August, and we got 3 really good teams we're about to play again. So, you know, we just got to cowboy up and play the right way.
Cowboy up. That's right. You got to cowboy up. You got to go out there. You got to make sure you choke in the playoffs just like the Cowboys. No, I understand what he's saying, and I don't. Look, I know the team meeting thing has become part of the conversation. I know I've mentioned it myself a couple of times. It felt like the Rollins, Utley, Howard, Hamels Phillies, especially towards the end, they had quite a few closed-door meetings. I don't know what helps this team other than that lucky base hit, that gift of a run or two by mistakes by the other team, which the Yankees tried to do in Game 2 of this series. Like, I don't like the term. I don't like the term snake bit, but there are stretches in any season where just things do not go your way. First month and a half of the season felt like just about everything was going your way. Now it feels like just nothing could go right for you. And when things do, when a break does present itself, you squander it. Bryce Harper not running right on contact in the ninth inning of Game 2 against the Yankees. Not having to face Garrett Cole. You get 4 runs on the rookie. Your pitching can't hold up against it. Blow another 3-run lead in this series. Then you come out, you scratch and claw to get back from a 4-0 lead or 4-0 deficit in the second inning. You scratch and claw to get back into it, and you give it right back. If you're a believer in snake bit, this certainly seems to be a snake bitten team right now. So how do they get out of it? Well, in all honesty, I don't know how they do it mentally, but physically, I know what it's going to take. It's going to take that one swing and that one lucky break that they actually capitalize on and go, oh, look, here's a win. Look, we're capable of winning. Bryce Harper is able to barrel one up in this series against the Mariners. Trey Turner is able to barrel one up in this series against. Like, it's got to start now. They got to come home from this road trip at like a 7-3 record in 10 games. And that's going to be difficult. They'll be lucky to go 6-4 with it. They'll be lucky to win at the rate they're playing. They'll be lucky to win at one game per series. They'll be lucky to go, 3-7, at the rate they're going right now, where they seem to maybe win a game in a series as opposed to get swept. If you're looking for inspiration, the Yankees are a team to look at. And I hate to say that, but it's true. The Yankees were a piss-poor baseball team for about a month. Phillies are working on that right now. And then they went into Boston. They won 2 or 3 from Boston. And then they come into Philadelphia and they sweep the Phillies. For Locked On Sports Philadelphia, they had me do shows on Locked On Sports Philadelphia, and then they also had me do it on their more national networks yesterday. So I got more Yankees fans in the chat. And believe it or not, every once in a while you talk to a rational New York fan. I know, it's like a unicorn, right? And they're like, hey, we're the Yankees fans. As Yankees fans, we just went through this for like a month and a half. And, the Yankees seem to be just crawling out of it right now. So keep your heads up, Philly. And I'm like, why am I listening? Oh, God. The Yankee fan making me feel better about my team. What? I don't like this feeling. But they're right. The Yankees went through a horrible stretch. Like to the point where Aaron Boone, Eagles fan, Aaron Boone, wouldn't say the word. I think it was struggle. I think that was the word I landed on yesterday. Struggle. Like, hey, so can you admit that this is a struggling baseball team? And you're like, I'm not going to admit this is a struggling baseball team. I'm not going to admit this is not a struggling baseball team. Every once in a while, a team has a tough time, but we're not a struggle. We're going to get through it. And I'm like, okay, whatever helps him. And then they won 2 or 3 against the Red Sox and then swept the Phillies. So the Yankees might be a nice thing to look up to. And they've maintained one of the better records in baseball somehow during their awful stretch. Just like the Phillies have maintained best record in baseball during their awful stretch. The Guardians win yesterday. The Braves won, that's right. Where are the Guards at? The Guards. They have an off day. They had an off day. So, yeah, that's where we're at right now in life when it comes to this Phillies team. As fun as that is. "65 wins across the board in Major League Baseball is the most." So the Phillies, this is so bonkers. Phillies still have they have a second best winning percentage in baseball. The Guardians are 65-42. The Phillies are 65-43. And the Yankees have the better run differential. They have the best in the American League at 118. Phillies are at 102. That's the best of the National League. So that's still happening. Yep. That's what you're looking at right now as far as the standings go. In this run, the Houston Astros and Seattle Mariners are now tied for first place in the AL West. The Dodgers are 4.5 games up on the Padres in the NL West. And the Arizona Diamondbacks, who have won 7 of 3, they're 5 games. So they're a half game behind the Padres, 5 games behind the Dodgers in the playoff race right now. Or excuse me, in the NL West race right now. So that's what you're going to face. As far as that high that the Phillies were riding and that team meeting that people are talking about, Bryce Harper was asked about that. This sound courtesy of Dave Uram, KYW News Radio, who was a man on the scene there. And Bryce Harper was asked about that potential meeting, or Rob Thompson. What's he going to say to this baseball team? What does it mean to you, Bryce Harper, that Rob Thompson still has faith in you guys, putting you guys out there every day?
I mean, we're a damn good team. I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, it's baseball. It's the way kind of the game works. But like I said, we don't want to play the game that way. But we're a really good team, and we got really good players in here, and just got to keep going.
I love the confidence. We're a damn good baseball team. I mean, if you're looking around this lineup and you're seeing guys put it together like Nick Castellanos has been able to put it together over the last 2 months. Todd Zlecki had the numbers yesterday. I think it was since May 19th. Nick Castellanos is batting 271. Yeah, I'll take that from Nick Castellanos. Bryson Stott, people. We've been tracking him. What really sucks about, other than the obvious, like if there's tiers to guys like Trey Turner and Bryce Harper being terrible over this stretch of games here, especially Bryce Harper, then it unfortunately has taken the focus off of a guy like Bryson Stott, who has started to figure it out at the plate. And what you've been seeing from Bryson Stott lately is a guy who has raised his batting average up from about 230 to 248 over the last couple of weeks. And you're seeing a guy really since the All-Star break that has started to find his swing. And you're seeing him have those 0-2 counts again. And he ends up winning the at bat that ends up going 7 or 8 pitches with a bunch of foul balls, and he ends it with a single, or he works himself a walk. Yeah, over the last week, he's hitting 500. Over the last 2 weeks, he's hitting 344 with a 364 on base percentage, and over the last month, he's hitting 263. Now, 263 ain't a brag for Bryson Stott and a 305 on base percentage. That's not a brag either. But for Stott, considering the way he had been going at it, this is so far on pace to be his best stretch of the season. Bryson Stott kind of fell apart at the end of last year. If he puts it together for the end of this year, he'll be a savior for this baseball team. That's what we'll be looking at for the rest of the year. But certainly the Phillies will need him to keep on doing what he's been doing over the last 2 weeks. And Bryce Harper to get back to that MVP form, and Trey Turner get back to the MVP form. And Nick Castellanos, just be steady Eddie right now. Do what you're doing right now. Kyle Schwarber, sure, not hitting as many home runs, getting on base. He's looking more like a leadoff hitter in that regard. But they'll certainly need that hot bat to start swinging for this Phillies team to really turn it around. Tyler Phillips, by the way, will get the start tomorrow. Where would this team be without Tyler Phillips, by the way? Could you imagine a couple more starts of Michael Mercado? That'd be pretty terrible. Thank God for Tyler Phillips. I didn't think I'd be saying that before the season started, but yet here we are. Phillies have a 9:40 start time tomorrow night, 9:40 start time Saturday night. If you're watching the postcast, and if you've watched me do the postgame shows over the last 2 years for the Phillies, this is the weekend, one of the 2 weekends in the next month that I'll be doing postgame shows from my brother-in-law's carport in Maryland. Crab feast, family celebration. I'll be down there. My wife's family is all from there. Well, they're originally from Ohio. All Ohio State fans. I have to get that in. And I'm sure when I see them this weekend, they will let me. They won't let me live down the idea of the Guardians taking 2 or 3 from the Phils. So, thanks. But yeah, crab feast in Maryland. I'm not going to pass that up. So, I don't want to take any time off, and I'll be at the carport doing the show. If you don't have a carport, if you have like a garage, like some highfalutin person, like some king, a carport is just an awning for a car. That's what it is. But they could be reception halls, they could be crab feast halls. In this case, they could be family reunion halls. They can be. It's basically an outdoor. It's a room. It's a room with no walls. They're lovely. They're lovely. Anyway, was talking about Jalen Hurts earlier. All the good vibes that we're getting from training camp. All the good vibes that we're getting from, I even got a good vibe from Nick Sirianni when he was addressing the media this week. Good vibes we're getting from Kellen Moore. Good vibes we're getting from Nakobe Dean. He had a great quote the other day. Shorts and shells are cute, but pads are why we play. About the first padded practice yesterday. Hell yeah, man. Or 2 days ago now. Hell yeah, man. All the good vibes are there. But the eagle eye, no pun intended, continues to be on Jalen Hurts. The idea of him being recognized as a top 15 player in the NFL is awesome because I think that speaks to his potential. Him being the 3rd best player in the NFL by the top 100 list certainly speaks to what he has done. I have a lot of confidence in Jalen Hurts. And I really do hate the comparison of Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. You can look at things and certainly find similarities. I get that. But when you're talking about what matters most, which is ultimately what you think you're going to have from Jalen Hurts' career here in Philadelphia, I think you have a 10, 15-year starting quarterback in Jalen Hurts. And I think you have a guy in Jalen Hurts that between the ears has it a hell of a lot more than Carson Wentz. Mental toughness. It was a concern when he talked about 95% of the offense being different. It was a concern to think that Jalen Hurts might be holding some kind of grudge towards the Eagles, towards Nick Sirianni, when it comes to why the hell is this guy still here when you're not giving him control of the offense and you're bringing in somebody else to have control, and you just pushed aside my guy and Brian Johnson. It doesn't appear in the very early stages of this that there seems to be any bad blood with Jalen Hurts. So what does that mean? It means right now, and the fact that when he was asked about the first question out of the gate for his press conference to open up training camp, the first question about was his relationship with him and Nick Sirianni. He jumped right on it. He was like, yeah, about that. Like, he wanted to talk about it. Like, no, this is not going to be a distraction. Like, through his answer, I got the impression that, look, we got football games to win. I have a career to have. You think I'm going to let some drama? You think I'm going to let some you think I'm going to hold some grudge derail what I could do, what I could achieve as a quarterback and help this team achieve as a franchise? Yeah, no. That helped push aside anything. And like, what? Nick's going to have bad blood with Jalen Hurts? I don't think so. Jalen's going to go out there, and because of what he has between the ears, because of the mental toughness that he does have, and not to mention some incredible physical ability as well, I see him leading this team into a deep playoff run this year. I don't see the hiccups that some other people are looking at. I don't even want to hear about the excuses you could have with the new offensive coordinator not learning the system yet. To hell with that. Like, if you're Jalen Hurts and you're his second year as a starter, okay, I get it. There could be some speed bumps, but he excelled. If you're a rookie, obviously, you could have some struggles trying to learn the NFL. That goes without saying. But now you're a veteran, Jalen Hurts. Now you've been to the playoffs 3 times. You've been to a Super Bowl. You've been in the MVP running for what? 35 weeks in the last 2 seasons? That's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. So I have built this season, and I'll reiterate it, especially with him dropping down to 15 here, but still being in the top 15 of NFL players. This is a no-excuse season for Jalen Hurts. If you're a Jalen Hurts hater, you might have a lot of egg on your face this season. If you're a Jalen Hurts supporter, I hate the phrase, but you might be getting your flowers when it comes to Jalen Hurts. And Kellen Moore, I think, will help him tremendously. If you're a great quarterback, but you're in an offense that is extremely predictable, that makes your job really tough. If Kellen Moore is coming in here, he's throwing the motion in. If Kellen Moore is coming in here and he's encouraging greatly, hey, I know I, as Kellen Moore, like to air the football out, throw downfield, rack up points, all that stuff. I love doing that. But I also like not turning the football over. I've had some problems in the past with quarterbacks that turn the football over. Let's not be that guy. You know, the guy that might be directly behind you on the list at 16 while you're 15 in Jalen Hurts. Let's be the guy that doesn't turn the football over, and let's take what the defense gives you. If they're giving you Saquon Barkley at the line of scrimmage, give it to him. He'll get you 6 yards. Hell, he might get you 20. If you got Kenny Gainwell open at the line of scrimmage, and you got Devontae Smith down the field, but it's double coverage, but he has a half a step. Maybe just dump it down to Kenny Gainwell. I'm not saying play timid. I'm just saying play smart to cut down on those turnovers. That's what I'm looking forward to in the upcoming season. And I see Jalen Hurts excelling in a no-excuse year. You have the talent around you, both as a play caller. You have the experience as a play caller with you and Kellen Moore, and you have a boatload of talent around you when it comes to this offense. Just go out there and make it happen. No excuses. Everything is there at your disposal. Look forward to seeing all that come together in the next one. Hey, by the way, Hall of Fame game tonight. Wet your beak with a little football action tonight. How does that sound? Canton, Ohio. I know some people. Yeah. ESPN, ABC will have it. The Olympics going on, so NBC does not have it. Tom Benson, Hall of Fame Stadium, Canton, Ohio. I have done, I think, seven Hall of Fame games working in my time working behind the scenes with NBC. Thing that always cracks me up is our production meeting was always in Mrs. Schuler's home economic class. Because you walk if you've never been to Canton, it's right next. It's a high school football field. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not a high school football field, but it's a high school's football field. It's right next to it's not Canton High, whatever the heck it is. I can't remember the name. McKinstry? Why does McKinstry stick out in my head? I don't know. Anyway, literally, you walk out of the cafeteria, you walk down the hall, the home ec class is on the left, you keep walking out, and then boom, right there's the stadium. You walk out the hallway, right there's the stadium. It's pretty incredible. It's not, whatever, I'll think of it later. Anyway, Hall of Fame game tonight. Kickoff 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. There you go. Let me tell you about the amazing people at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Take advantage of all they have to offer at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. And when you use promo code FARZI, get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Take advantage of all they have to offer. You want to bet on the world of baseball? You can bet on the world of baseball. You want to bet on the world of the Olympics? You can bet on the Olympics at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Take advantage of all they have to offer. How about the Game Time app? Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code FARZI, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Phillies are going to be back in 10 days. Maybe you're going on the road to follow the Phils out west. Download the Game Time app to your phone, create an account, use promo code FARZI, save $20 on your first purchase. Concerts, comedy shows, whatever the case might be, all right there on the Game Time app. They have last-minute ticket deals, flash ticket deals. They even have ticket deals for an hour after the event starts. So you can save big bucks with the amazing people of the Game Time app. Download Game Time app to your phone, create an account, use promo code FARZI, get $20 off your first purchase. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's phlsportsnation.com. Also, let's not forget about our friends over there at Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. Take advantage of Brett's amazing inventory at skymotorcars.com. Let's get into the chat checks here. You guys are feeling on this fine Thursday morning. Goodness gracious. IBH, good morning. Sean Gillespie, good morning. Sean Kilrain, what's popping? Nikki 3 Buttons heard me. Yes, he heard you. He heard you, Sean. And boy, did he go. Boy, did he do his thing. But it's not a one-man show, though, Farzy. That's true. Nikki 3 Buttons can't do it all. I didn't think I'd ever say that sentence. But here I am saying it. Nikki 3 Buttons can't do it all. 2 hit day for him. 3 RBI day. Yeah, 2 for 4 yesterday, 3 RBIs. 241 on the season obviously doesn't look great, but you got to look at what he's been doing over the last 2 months. It's been pretty fantastic. Luke Skylifter, using the term cowboy up as a Philly sports fan should be illegal. I agree. Worst record since the All-Star break, Chicago White Sox. Oh. Phillies 3-9, Red Sox 4-8. Fuji! What's going on? Good morning to you. Babs? Harper's favorite team is Dallas Cowboys. Babs, that did cross my mind. When he had the cowboy hat on at the All-Star game, oh, maybe that's what did it. Maybe that's what did it. Put on a cowboy hat. He's 1 for 15. I know a lot of people had Cowboys hats on, but I don't care about that. I care about my irrational theory. April, what's going on, April? Good morning. Oh, yeah, Fuji, Eagles open practice. That's right. James Alexander, good morning. I'm going to the open practice today. We have so many in the top 100. Like always, Phillies are struggling. Main concern right now. Yeah, that's James, I think like you. Like, I know we're a football city. Like, football is king. Good morning, Jason A. I get that. But watching the Phillies free fall in the manner of which they've free fallen is pretty terrible. They say, I wish I could go to the link, but I have to work. Work. How's the puppy, Jason? How's the pup? Happy Hurts is 15 of 100. I'm impressed he's up that high, honestly. I was very scared as things were going on with Jalen Hurts that he wasn't going to be on the list. But I'm like, no, he's going to be the top. He's going to be the top 20. He's going to be the top 20. He's going to be the top 20. And he was in the top 20. Sean Cohen, all I want to know is why is it on a Thursday instead of a weekend, the public practice? That is weird. I think it's because the Eagles hate people. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. It's because weekends are the real practices. Not when they just put on a show. I thought it was like, I remember the Eagles first did flight night back in the day. Just to put it in perspective time-wise for Eagles flight night, the first flight night, here it is. Sean Andrews had a stiff back when he got off the bus going from Lehigh to Lincoln Financial Field for flight night. That's what I remember. Harper looks off. Is that what it's supposed to be? I agree. Sean Kilroy, Bryce Harper is in the midst of one of the worst stretches of his career. One for his last 30, batting 153 over the last 2 weeks. Trey Turner, 156 over the last week. It's all bad. It's all bad. Very, very bad. Eric R. What's going on? Every time I got confident enough to beat my chest about the Phillies, they fall off a cliff. Well, let's say we don't beat our chest about the Phillies. Turning into the Eagles, last part of the season. If they do this in September, then I'll be panicking. But right now, I'm like, this sucks. I really hope it's over soon. April, I have a garage, but let's be real. No room for my car in there. April, I can identify with that. Eric R., what's going on? Flowers, flowers, everywhere, flowers. That's great. Oh, Jason A. Puppy is awesome. Getting better for sure. Almost completely potty trained. She has an accident from time to time. That's all right. Can we get the puppy's name? Possible we'll get the puppy's name. Oh, Jason A. I was at the flight night, Farzy. I remember that? That was pretty insane. But it was a great idea. I still love that they do it. Like, don't get me wrong. One of my favorite all-time memories as a sports fan, like growing up, me and my buddy Bennett, who I've referenced many times, a huge Sixers fan. We went up and we watched T.O. and Donovan. And it was incredible. And we're like, this is amazing. And then I remember we were on our way out of training camp at Lehigh, and it was like, hey, what are you doing the rest of the day? I was like, I'm not doing anything. You doing anything? No. And then we stopped at the Phillies played that night at the Vet, and we hit Wawa on the way down, got some hoagies, watched batting practice at the 700 level of the Vet. Why we were up that high? Just why not? And we just took it in. We got tickets for like $8, and we just went from Lehigh, drove right down to watch the Phillies. It's one of the greatest days ever. Oh, Jason, named the dog Nala, the little pup Nala from The Lion King. Oh, I'm aware. African meaning queen and courage and strength. All the above. Well, that's beautiful. That's very nice. I like that. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful, as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush, brought by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. NFL preseason kicks off tonight with the Hall of Fame game. The Houston Texans and Chicago Bears. I have been looking. I'm just going to do it because it's going to bother me. McKinley, not McKinstry. I said McKinstry. McKinley High School. Right next to the Hall of Fame. Worth the trip. Here's a little fun inside thing here. So it's if you've ever been to Lambeau Field, it's like the stadium is right in the neighborhood. Okay, which is just crazy. You drive through this like 1950s, 60s era neighborhood in Wisconsin, and then right there's Lambeau Field. You're like, what the? It's insane. And people will park on those people's lawns. So people in that neighborhood, just like in Canton, Ohio, the Hall of Fame game, they allow people to park on their lawn. And one guy right next to the stadium is charging like $30 per car. And he's putting in maybe 50 cars on his lawn. It's pretty insane. They pack them in. And it's like, I've talked to the guy. He's like, I've talked to one of the guys because everybody does it. And he's like, oh yeah, this is my vacation money every year. He's like, every year I take my family to Punta Cana for a week, and it's all paid for by this. And I'm like, how many people in your family? He's like, I got a family of 5. I'm like, good for you, man. Way to be. But yeah, you can just park right on the lawn there. I mean, you got to pay for it, but it's pretty cool. It's a good experience. So yeah, Hall of Fame game tonight, 8 o'clock kickoff. Phillies off tonight, as I've mentioned. 9:40 tomorrow night, 9:40 Saturday night, 4:10 Sunday in Seattle. As far as the pitching matchup goes for tomorrow night, I mentioned Tyler Phillips. Brian Wu will get the start for the Mariners. It'll be a righty-righty matchup. Wu, he's listed as day-to-day right now. He is 4-1 of the season with a 2.35 ERA. He's coming off a 4-inning performance, just giving up 4 hits against the Chicago White Sox, 0 runs. But if you're playing the White Sox, is that even real? Doesn't even matter. Anyway, prior to that, he'll have 2 runs to the Astros, 4 runs to the Angels in a 10-inning affair, going 3 1/3 in that one. He was rocked a little bit. 9 hits in those 3 1/3. 4 runs scored in that one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are wonderful as per usual. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Be back with you guys. Wait, hold on. Yes, I will be with you guys tomorrow. It was tentative that I'd be doing a show tomorrow morning, but I am doing a show tomorrow morning. So I'll talk to you guys then. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow morning. No postcast tonight. See you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.